I think music is an effect that you cannot analyze. You notice the effect, you notice how it affects people, and you wonder why that is. And if you make music, you also observe the effect your music making has on other people. And that fascination continues. You can never really pin it down. David Lynch said it's like a fish that you can't quite catch. I'm Paul Haslinger. I'm a film composer, performing artist based in Los Angeles. I'm originally from Austria and started out with a little band called Tangerine Dream and somehow ended up in Hollywood scoring films. I've had many scores altered by a mix that I didn't want altered. So I wanted to learn to control these stages so that I retain control during any phase of this particular piece of music. Arturia is one of the companies that has been very interested in engaging with musicians, getting feedback, and helping to kind of develop the tools that we use on a daily basis. It's difficult to single out any particular instrument from the V collection simply because there's so many of them and so many are so good. I also think, the emulation of vintage instruments is always tricky business. And since I'm one who actually knows the vintage instruments, I can appreciate something like the virtual collection that just does a very good job emulating the particular character of these instruments. So one thing, as an example, this is a song I'm working on with singer Marissa Nadler. So it's a sine wave pad on the Prophet 5 and a flute patch on a mellotron, and I play them in context of the piece. So it helps infuse that character in the piece, a little bit dreamy, a little bit sort of drifting. I went from these early instruments that didn't stay in tune and were really heavy and difficult to lug around to the digital revolution, DX7s that finally gave you the stability life, to our time when everybody's looking for the detuned and the non-straight and the non-digital and this sort of early technology which had these advantages. That happens. Here you see in live demonstration the problems. Lots of unusual sound modulation possibilities with this one, but difficult to keep in tune and difficult to maintain in general because it is a prima donna of sorts. So here now we have the new virtual version. There was a V2 and this is now the V3, which is new in the Virtual Collection 11. There's been a development towards more performance options in virtual instruments in general. And based on that mood, you can just start a cue this way. It will lead the rest of the piece with the feel that it has. And for that, the Augmented series on each of its renditions offers a lot of options. And as I raise the mod wheel, I will create a pitch fall effect. And the nice thing is I can make this more extreme. One of my favorite patches in augmented brass. This is one I made a whole cue out of for In the Lost Lands, which is a film that was just released. This is set sort of in an apocalyptic fantasy land, so therefore the mood is somewhat dark. What these instruments and this series is so good at is to get you off to a running start. You want to start with a certain atmosphere, you want to start with a three-dimensional sound field, and then have real-time performance and, you know, adjustment possibilities. That's what these are great for. If you're a musician, you never really know how good are you. You know, is this a worthwhile endeavor? But if it becomes a job and people pay you money to do it, you go like, I might as well stay with it and explore it and see how far I can go with it. So it's been a pretty interesting and eventful run from that first exposure in a little rehearsal cellar in Austria to end up somehow in Hollywood scoring films.